Hi everyone, this is Madhav. I am talking about the second video in the 0 to ML series from What AI. Last video we looked at the command line, places like this where we can run single pieces of command code that do various things. Now we're going to look at Python programming, which is going to allow us to combine lots of different lines of code. So I'm going to make this video only about how to get started with Python programming, the setup you need to do. If you've never done any programming before, just use Kaggle. Kaggle is this website that you can go to. You can click on register, sign in with Google, and when you're done, you will get to a dashboard like this. Here, you don't need to do any setup. Everything's downloaded for you. Everything's ready to go. So it's a very, very easy way to start. When you get started, you click on create and you can either import a notebook like we're going to give you, or you can create your own. And when you do, it just gives you this place, which is called a Jupyter notebook, where you can click on code cells, click on a play button and run them. So if you're very new to Python, take this option, download, you don't need to download anything, just go to the Kaggle website, register, and you're good to go. And you can even stop watching this video now. That's all you'll need to do. For the people that want to do work locally, well, good on you. That's what the real software developers would do, but it is hard. So no fault to you if you're not doing it because it is the first time you're coding. So if you're going to be working with code like a real software developer, there are 2 or 3 tools that I need to teach you about. So the first tool is going to be Git. That's how coding, programmers, we share our code with each other. The second tool is going to be about Python, package management and virtual environments, which is how we set up a Python project and prepare to download all the tools we need to get started coding. And finally, the last tool is going to be VS Code, which is a place where you can enter your code. So let's do those in order. First thing to talk about is Git and GitHub. So GitHub is like a Google Drive, okay? You can go here, you can take a link like this link in the description of the video, and you'll arrive at a page. It looks not too dissimilar to Google Drive. You have different files, you can click on them, you can see content, etc. One complexity, one extra feature from simply a website point of view. Within a single Google Drive folder like this, which on GitHub we call a repository, you can have different versions of the folder or different branches. So for example, I can click on this switch here and switch to workshop 1. So that's a different branch. It's a different version of the folder. You can see it has different files. Or, workshop 2. So that's the current one we're on, which is on version control git GitHub. There are a lot of things that you can do here. It's pretty clear. I would highly encourage you to check it out if you want to be a software engineer. Any software engineer is going to need to work with GitHub hundreds of times a day, all day long, every single day. It doesn't matter which field you're in, front end, back end, ML, anything. You're going to need to work with GitHub all day long. For our purposes, though, I'm only going to teach you about a few basic commands that we need to be able to navigate this repository or this Google Drive-like folder thing. So, just a little bit of motivation. Why are we doing this? Why do we need GitHub? Well, if you think about it, if you've ever done English class before, we have different essay versions, and over time it's like convoluted, what do I actually submit? Or if you're working in English class with different people, let's say, person one creates one Google Doc, another person edits it, changes something, another person changes it again, and now you got to figure out, what's changed between which version, and then, merge it all together. It's just chaos. And then finally, let's say you break everything, as you often do in coding, and you need to go back immediately. How do you undo whatever changes you made? All of these problems, these are why we're going to be learning about Git. So, in a basic level, what does Git do? It has all of these different files that you can store in your repository, which is like your Google Drive folder, and it checks very, very meticulously and minutely exactly line by line, what do you change in each file, every step of the way. There's a little bit of jargon to get familiar with Git, so a few words. Again, this repository, it's like the folder that you store files in, like a Google Drive folder. A commit is like one version of the folder at one period of time. So to give you an example, just via this website, you can see there are multiple commits for this folder that I'm in. If I click on this, it will show, the changes I'm making over time. So again, this is like the different snapshots or photos that I take of this folder, different versions of the folder. That's what commits are, just snapshots at specific moments in time. We also have what we call branches, which are different. So branches are these variants of the folder that I'm switching between. So if I switch to the main branch, it is still, you can see the URL hasn't changed, i.e. we're still in the same repository or folder, but now we have different files here. If I switch into a different branch, different files, but still in the same repository. Now, the last thing to keep in mind is all of the stuff I'm showing, GitHub. It is just, it's one online company that can store these kinds of repositories. So the difference between Git and GitHub is Git is the underlying tool that you can use anywhere with any company. GitHub is one company that lets you use this tool to store and share repositories, which are these Google Drive folders. I hope that makes sense in terms of the jargon that we're going to be talking about today. So we have a few different words that we're going to be using often. Take a second to review them if you need. But with that out of the way, I'm going to show you how you can work with Git in the command line as software developers usually do. So the first thing to keep in mind is that you will need to install Git. So on Linux or WSL, you can do sudo apt install git. You might want to run sudo apt updates before you run that command. On Mac OS, brew updates and then brew install git. After that installation finishes, you need to do a couple of things to set up Git. So remember, it's tracking changes to files over time, so it needs to know who made the changes. That's why you need to specify what your name is with this command and what your email is with this command. So I could do that here, but I've already done it. So I'm just going to skip this step. For you, just copy this and change what your name is. Make sure to have these quotation marks, as well as your email. Again, keep the quotation marks. With that out of the way, now we can look at how do we get Git to work on our computer, and then how do we get Git to connect to GitHub so that we can store whatever we changed online. So first thing, I can make a temporary folder like we learned in the last video. So let's say Git folder. I can cd into Git folder, i.e. enter that folder, and I can run git init. And that's going to initialize an empty Git repository. If I do ls, it seems like nothing has changed, but if I do ls and then -a for all, it will show me there is a .git folder, and what the .git folder is doing is it has all of the information about the different commits, aka versions of the folder, as well as all the different branches and all the other different information that this software needs to be able to track changes over time. So we're going to learn about just the bare bones most common workflow with Git, okay? The bare bones that we need. And there are more details on what you do professionally that you can look up after this video. I'll link them in the description. Okay, so just the bare bones. The first command that you're going to need and you're going to be using all the time is git status. It's your command for whenever you're confused and you just want to know what's going on. So git status tells you which branch or version of the repository you're on. It tells you, which commits there are, things like that. And it tells you some weird stuff that we're going to cover now. So git status, memorize that, you'll be using it all the time. Now, for Git to be able to track some kind of file, first of all, we need to create a file. So for now, I'm going to use touch hello.txt, and I have created a file. Now, what we need is to tell Git hey, you need to start looking at this file. If I run git status, our favorite command that we run all the time, it says untracked files. What that means is Git knows that you changed this thing, but you haven't told Git, hey, I want you to keep track of this. So it's not going to, it's not going to start tracking it yet. As it says, you need to use git add to tell Git, add this file to the list of files you need to watch. So what we can do is git add hello.txt, and now if we run git status, you'll see changes to be committed. So it's no longer saying that the file is untracked. Now it's just saying, okay, you want me to watch this file? I got you. Now I am ready to start watching the file. The second step in the process, so there are two steps. First, you gotta add the file to the list of files to watch. Second step is you got to save a commit. So again, a particular snapshot of the file at any given moment in time. So we can run git commit -m for the message. So a message, a commit message describes what we're committing. So here I can say created an empty hello file. I'm using quotation marks again around all the text. So as you can see, some complicated stuff. This thing is just called a commit ID. It's just a label that Git has for the different versions of the files. So if I go here, you can already see a commit ID, but all of these different commits have commit IDs to help Git keep track of them. Anyways, if I run git status, then it's going to say, okay, we're all good again. I don't have any more changes to keep track of. So to summarize once again, git status, favorite command. If we create a file, we have to add it, otherwise it's going to show it's untracked. Once we add it, Git knows that, okay, I need to monitor changes in this file. And then we run git commit with -m for some message to save a particular snapshot of that file. That's one workflow you need to keep in mind. This is how you change anything in Git, whatever change you want to make. Then you're going to status to make sure that it's changed, add, commit, and you're done. Now to show this to you in another way, let's say I wanted to make a new modification to hello.txt. So in the last video, we learned about the cat command that can print out file contents. Well, there's nothing there because we didn't put anything in the file. So we can add stuff to the file in a couple of different ways. One way to do it is with what we call nano. Nano is a command line word editor, a little bit like Microsoft Word, but in your command line and a lot simpler. So I can do nano, whatever file I want. So nano hello.txt, nano image dot whatever, like whatever file I want. And it will open the file for me. Here I can type in some text. This is some text. Then I press Ctrl S to save and Ctrl X to exit. It may prompt you to do a couple of other things, so you can click like yes, 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 just try and get out of things. And if you really are stuck, try pressing Ctrl C and it will get you out of it, okay? In any case, I made a change. I pressed Ctrl S to save it, Ctrl X to exit nano. Now, if I cat hello.txt, you can see it now has some text in it. Furthermore, if I run git status, well, you'll see, okay, it's been modified. So Git has, it's aware that, some changes have been made. So now again, I can run git add hello.txt and then status again. Okay, changes to be committed. I know how to do that. It's the commit command, -m for message, and then added some content. Git status, and we're good. Hopefully that gives you a good understanding of how to do the git commit workflow. Make change, git add, git commit, and it will save your change. If you want, pause the video now, create a new file with nano that has some jokes in it, and then add and commit it. If you've paused, now I'm moving on. So that is the first basic workflow to keep in mind. The last thing that you need to know, the basics of just Git, is what I was doing here. How was I switching around with different branches and whatnot? Because you'll need to do that for these workshops. So the way that we can see different branches is using git branch. If you run git branch and you don't see everything else, well, you can run git branch -a in case you're missing branches. In this case, I just don't have any branches at all. So what I can do is I can create a new branch. So git branch, let's say version 2. If I run git branch again, it's showing me, okay, here's one branch, here's another. If I want to switch between versions, then I can do git checkout and then type in the name of the branch. So I can do git checkout version 2 to switch to version 2. If I run git status, you'll see on branch version 2. I can also, see that by git branch. Let's say I want to make some changes. So right now, this has hello.txt. I'm going to remove hello.txt. You can see this branch does not have anything. I'm going to touch test.txt. Yeah. Then I'm going to run git status. Okay. Git add. And then here's a tip. You can do git add dot to add all the changes you want at the same time. Git status. And then finally git commit. Changed version 2. Okay. So here you see I have test.txt. I'm in version 2. If I check out master, so this other branch, if I do ls, you can see now I have hello.txt. So what did we just do? Well, we just did what you saw on the website. We can switch between different branches and we have different versions of files. The key commands are git branch to list all the branches, and if you're not getting everything, then just do git branch -a. You can create a new branch with git branch some name, and you can switch between different branches using git checkout and then the branch name that you want to go to. Hopefully not too bad. With that, I'm going to get you to go to this website. So it's linked in the repository. If you click on the code button, if you just click on this arrow drop down, you can copy the URL that you need to download this repository. That's another part of GitHub repositories. They take these local Git repositories and we're able to push them online, store them online for others to download. So we created this repository on our computers like this, and then we push them online to this URL. You can take a URL from here, and the special command, if you want to, grab all the content, I'm gonna just go to a fresh folder. The special command is git clone. So you do git clone, grab the URL you want, copy it from here, and then paste the URL with the Control V. If I run that, it's going to download all of the content of this folder to me so that I can work on it. So that's how GitHub can help you use these Git repos. You make a Git repo locally, then you can send it to GitHub, and other people can download it from GitHub. A little bit like uploading a Google Doc to a GitHub repository. If you want to test that out for yourself, well, you will need a GitHub account. So, you can search up, sign up for GitHub account, and it will guide you through the process. It will give you a couple of things to do. Once you're done, there's a plus icon. You can create a new repository. You can, put some name like test. And yeah, when you create it, it will give you a bunch of code that you can run. So you can run all this code down here. Just to describe what's happening for you, we already looked at the echo command. So echo, it puts something to the screen, but now we're adding it to a file called readme, whatever. We're just creating a file so we don't have an empty repository. We're running git init, as we learned how to do to create a local repository. Git add, so make sure the local repository is tracking readme. We're creating our first commit, and we're creating a branch. Git remote is just our way to link the repository to a URL. And the URL it's giving you is the URL of the GitHub repository just created. So this is the key step that is linking the work that you're doing locally on your computer to this online URL that different people can access so that you can share your code. And finally, git push is the command that we use to send our code from our local computer to the GitHub repository. So I'm just going to run all this. Like it said, just copy and paste. And as you can see, we're all good here. So if I reload the page, you can see, the file I just created, the test file, it is now here, and I can continue creating new code and sending it online. So for example, touch hello.txt, gonna git add hello.txt, gonna git commit example, I'm gonna git push /u origin, and then this u thing, by the way, just says it means upstream. Upstream is just a complicated way of, hey, this is the source, this is the place where all of the changes go from my local computer to online. So I just do that. And if I reload, you can see I have sent some changes online. So those are all of the basics of Git that you need in order to be able to work with Python. Unfortunately, that is only one of the tools that you need if you want to work with Python directly. So I'm going to continue the other tool, which is VS Code and virtual environments, in the next video.